Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are from Group A. On this occasion, we would like to present about humor studies and humor translation. Next slide, please. Okay, let me introduce myself and my partner. I'm Rafina Janasiani, and I'm here with Jordan Rafael, Maya Anissa Putri, Naisha Azahra Zain, Nushura Diani Kalisa, and Zahra Hasifa. Next. First, I will explain about the definition of humor. Defining humor is inherently challenging due to its subjective nature. Attardo's broad definition suggests that humor is essentially determined by what a particular social group perceives as funny. This viewpoint acknowledges that humor can vary widely based on cultural, social, and individual interpretation. From a methodological perspective, laughter plays a significant role in framing humor's interaction. Archakis and Sakonas suggest that laughter can establish a context where a utterance is perceived as humorous. Therefore, defining humor involves considering the cultural and social context in which it occurs, recognizing that laughter is a key indicator, but not the sole determinant of what constitutes humor. The next slide will be explained by Naisha.
Okay, thank you, Revina. So, I'll explain you to the theories of humor. Theories of humor have overt comprehensive descriptions of the theories put forward by scholars in various fields. The first one is theories of superiority or hostility. Hobbes, Aristotle, and Plato all propose that the reason we laugh at other people is because we think we are better than them, disparagement. And the second one is theories of incongruity. According to Kant, Schopenhauer, and to some extent Beatty, humor arises when there is a discrepancy between what we know and what we expect. And the last one is theories of relief or release. Spencer and Freud saw laughing at others as a form of pleasure. In addition, humor can be seen as a means of freeing oneself from the conventions imposed by society. And as Ruskin has rightly pointed out, different theories highlighted one or more prominent features of humor. This is the table. Table shows Attardo's categorization of these theories according to each group's orientation. So the first one, incongruity theories, aim to understand the essence and the creative process of humor. Attardo considers them as cognitive-based approaches. In contrast, the sociolinguistic orientation of the hostility theories emphasizes the interpersonal or social behavior aspect of humor. And the last one, the realist theories mostly analyze humor from a psychological point of view. And the next material is script-based theories. And the script-based theory is divided into two main points. The first one is SSTH and GTVH. And the second one is the application of the GTVH and some criticism. And the explanation will be presented by Jordan. Time is yours.
Thank you, Naisha. The first one is SSTH and GTVH. This is a script-based theory of verbal humor that concentrates on the linguistic analysis of joke-carrying text. This theory can be applied to texts that contain multiple jokes. Ruskin, 1985, in his view, said that jokes can be considered humorous if they satisfy two fundamental conditions. First one, the text is compatible fully or in part with two different scripts. Second one, the two scripts with which the text is compatible are in opposition. Next slide. One of the well-known examples to demonstrate the practical application of this theory is the doctor at home? The patient asked in his bronchial whisper. No, the doctor's young pretty wife whispered in reply. Come right in. So the humor is caused by the fact that the text is partially compatible with both the doctor and husband and lover scripts. which are perceived as opposite in a certain sense. His absence, as it turned out, leads to the introduction of the opposing script lover and adulterer, which can also evoke a sex or no sex opposition that explains the humor of the text. Next slide. The second one is the application of the GTVH and some criticism. Since it first appeared, the GTVH has been extensively applied to and revised to account for text longer than jokes, as well as instances of humor in text other than verbal today. It is unconceivable even to attempt a complete overview of the many studies in different fields that have applied to the GTVH to various instances of humorous text. That said, some noteworthy examples are in Sakwana 2003, empirical investigation of a corpus of 194 Greek and 59 English jokes demonstrate that chaplines do not disclose any information that may ruin the humor conveyed by the punchline. Chaplines usually establish the non-bon FDE mode of the text and its humorous tone, thus preparing the ground for the punchline, which offers the humorous climax. Next slide. The GTVH has also attracted a good deal of criticism. For instance, Ruch et al.'s 1993 empirical application of the GTVH to a corpus jokes led them to question the position of the logical mechanism within the GTVH set of knowledge resources. That said, the GTVH has been proven to be a powerful tool in detecting shift between original and translated humor. According to Dorr 2008 analysis, among the 6 knowledge resources, and excluding the obvious change regarding the language knowledge resource, script opposition, target and logical mechanism are those that are more likely to differ during the transport. The next slide will be presented by Zay. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Jordan. Now is conversational humor. What is conversational humor is? Conversational humor involves spontaneous jokes, fun, and witty remarks to entertain, build social bond, and create distraction. It builds context and shares understanding. Using wordplay and situational figures and it distinct from pre-formulated questions. For this chapter, Text 1947 has also offered a detailed microanalysis where jokes can be generally described as having structure which contains 3 main parts. First, introduction of the joke. Second, its spelling. And the third, the audience's reaction. Next slide. Now, function of humor in conversation. First, there are manipulation and self-presentation. Second, stronger impression and personal style. Third, non-offensive humor. Fourth, with and positive self-image. Fifth, bonding and solidarity or also power relation, as well as contextual appropriate. Next slide will be explained by Nusira.
Humor in comedy, authority categories, and Sakona's typology. Drawing on Attardo, there's 5 categories of text type. First, text with no humor. Second, text with a final punchline. Third, text with some episodic instinct of humor. Fourth, text made up of jobline and punchline only. Last, text where having a series of humor, instance, and punchline throughout. Sakona has further elaborated on this by suggesting a continuum of genres of humor, which are submassed into 4 main types. First, humor as an obligatory feature of the genre. Genre produced predominantly for the amusement of the audience. For the example, jokes, comedies, cartoon, and stand-up comedy. Second, humor as an optional but expected feature of a genre that may often include humor and may aim, among other things, at creating a humorous effect. For example, confessional narrative, literary text, and advertisement. Third, humor as an optional but unexpected feature of the genre. In genres where humor may occasionally occur yet is not normal or always expected. For example, basis negotiation, news reports, newspaper article. Plus, humor as an atypical feature of the genre where humor hardly ever or never occurs. For example, religious texts, court decision, funeral speech. Next slide, please. Humor in audiovisual text. Venus and Perina and Co., who have used the term prefabricated orality to describe how scriptwriters explore linguistic features, then pretend to naturally occurring language so as to make dialogue sound real in both original and dub text. Regarding humor, it could be suggested that, like real conversation, comedy in general, and TV comedy, in particular, contain conversational and potentially funny wordplay and jokes, which can be used to convey variously challenging, offensive, as well as harmless humor. Moreover, they can also foster characters friendly or antagonizing relationship with one another. Characterization means that in the course of a TV drama, while we are making sense of the dialogue with the help of our knowledge, we also gain an impression of the character uttering the dialogue. At the same time, each bit of dialogue and the information about the characters carries also adds to this word knowledge. Next slide. Typology of humor styles in sitcoms. What is sitcom? Sitcom is short for situation comedy. It's a funny TV show with a realistic setting, like an apartment full of wacky roommates or a restaurant where a regular cast or characters cracks jokes from week to week. So there's Tabel, adapted from Jackal. There's a table for humor category, humor technique, and explanation. For the example, humor category is language. For the humor technique, there's irony. For the explanation, saying one thing and meaning something else, or exactly the opposite of what you are saying, and so on. Next will be explained by Maya.
Okay, next is on humor and translatability, defining humor and its challenges. The first one is cultural references. Jokes often rely on cultural knowledge or context specific to a particular language or community. Second, linguistic nuances. Wordplay, puns, and other linguistic devices may not have direct equivalents in other languages. Third, idiomatic expressions. Translating idiomatic expressions can be tricky as their literal meanings may not convey the intended humor. The fourth, pragmatic intent. Humor serves various purposes, e.g., entertainment, satire, social commentary, and capturing this intent in translation is complex. Next. Okay, the next is scholarly perspective. According to Chiaro and Hickey, they emphasize the inherent difficulties in humor translation due to linguistic and cultural gaps. According to Del Bastida and Nielsen, they argue that successful humor translation is possible, sometimes even surpassing the original humor. According to a Tardos GTVH model, Tardos proposes the general theory of verbal humor, which analyzes jokes based on 6 knowledge. The first one is script opposition, contrasting expectation with reality. Second, logical mechanism, unexpected twists or absurdities. Third, target situation, contextual relevance. Fourth, narrative strategy, how the joke unfolds. Fifth, language play, wordplay and linguistic creativity. Sixth, sociocultural knowledge, cultural references, and shared experiences. Next. The next is perlocutionary effect. The perlocutionary effect is the actual impact the utterance has on the listener. It might differ from the speaker's intended effect. It goes beyond the mere words spoken. It's about how those words affect the audience emotionally, intellectually, and behaviorally. There are several strategies for retaining perlocutionary effect. The first one is adaptation. Modify jokes to fit the cultural context while preserving the intended humor. Second, equivalence. Find equivalent humorous elements in the target language. Third, omission. Leave out jokes that don't translate well. Fourth, compensation. Introduce humor elsewhere to balance any loss. And the last one is transcreation. Creatively reimagine humor to achieve a comparable effect. Okay, that's all from us. We apologize for any mistakes and thank you for tuning in to our presentation. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.